right, welcome in, everybody. Big night here on Soccer Matters, ESPN 97.5, as always, presented by John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm. We're fresh on the heels of the Killer Bees and Joel and Jeremy. Great stuff by them, as always. And we thank you for tuning in here tonight. Boy, do we have a lot to get after tonight. And certainly one of the things we're going to talk about is the new Dynamo investor, Tim Howard. And the former U.S. men's national team goalkeeper will be on this show tonight. Interview taped earlier here today. But interesting stuff here to consider. And Tim Howard addressing the media today along with the Dynamo owner, Ted Siegel. So he will be on tonight. It's a 20-minute interview. And I say this respectfully. Unlike the press conference, there's some real questions here that go a little bit deeper. And that's not a slight on anybody. It's to introduce him. It's general. It's very upbeat. It's positive. For me at this point in my career, I want to get answers because I want to see where we're going with the Dynamo. And it's all intents and purposes, it's taken a little long to get there. But if you're independent media, you got to remember, you're not a PR firm. Help the growth of the game. Challenge. Tim Howard can handle anything you can throw at him. Trust me. He's played at Manchester United. He's played at Everton. He's been under pressure. He can handle it. But unless we ask real questions from the outside here in the media, we're not helping the growth of the game, and we're not helping the Dynamo, frankly. To help the Dynamo is to ask real relevant questions, hold them fairly to the fire, and ask for people to speak and be transparent. We've had a lot of that with Pat Onstad. We've had a lot of that with Ben Olsen. And I think also Dynamo fans are looking for a focal point. I've said this for years. The club hasn't had a face of the franchise. Is that going to be Tim Howard? Past minority owners, Oscar De La Hoya, James Harden, they haven't done anything. Let's be honest. I mean, when we got fed that James Harden was going to sit in meetings through prior ownership and huge soccer fan, and he's got amazing ideas and all this, come on, who's buying that? Be honest with us. Now you got a soccer guy, and you got Tim Howard. And we've been looking for a football connection, I think, in the front office. And that's not taking shots at anybody in the front office. Don't get upset. This is a front office that needs football connection. That's easy to see from the outside. That's not anything that is meant to be negative. And if that gets people upset, then you're in the wrong job. 713-780-3776. Excited about Tim Howard coming. Dynamo fans, where are you? 713-780-3776. Dynamo already on their way to San Jose tomorrow night. You heard the Eric Sviatchenko interview last night. And then it's on to Vancouver. Now, the Vancouver game marks the possibility of playing Ezequiel Ponce. You know my feelings on it. I would not play him on artificial surface in Vancouver. I wouldn't even risk it. There's no need to. But I'm not the coach. On the other hand, Sebas Ferreira is putting up a fight. Scores the lone goal. Let's recap Sebas's goal, the tying goal against Minnesota. Remember, Eric Sviatchenko flicked this on after the great corner from Hector Herrera. 4-4-7 in your last 15, though. You know what I would prefer? Instead of 7 draws, I'd rather lose more games and get a couple of wins there and have 9 points off of 3 wins in those 7 draws. I'd rather lose games. Draws are terrible in MLS. They don't give you anything. I mean, if you get 3 wins out of those 7 draws, you got 9 points. Right? So you got another 2 points than you have now. I'd probably want 4 wins out of those 7. 713-780-3776 tonight. Tim Howard. It's exciting to see Tim Howard coming to the Houston Dynamo, and I think a lot of people are definitely very, very excited about the connection now that he will have for the club. He made it very clear he wants to be here long term. So we're going to break this down tonight about how this is, how much of this is simply about him being Tim Howard, how much of this is really digging down deep, how much clout he's going to have with the front office. These are questions I asked him, and he has answered beautifully. And it was a fun interview. It was a good interview. It's one you walk away from saying, okay, this is good stuff for your fan base. I'm not just parroting a bunch of things. I'm asking Tim real questions. And I said before the interview started, I said, Tim, I'm going to ask you real stuff because it's been a long time down here. And you got to do the homework on the context of where this club has been. And yes, we had a good season last year. And we're hoping for another good one. 2 road games, San Jose and Vancouver. And then we get into Leagues Cup. It's Atlas and RSL. Here's Ben Olsen on facing Minnesota and the challenges of the 1-1 draw recently. Either go for it more, lose a couple more games, but win more of these draws. And that's easy for me to say, and I'm not overstepping the bounds on the coach, but it's just something from the outside. Because 7 points out of 7 games, 7 points out of 21, that's leaving a lot of points on the table. And the home record is not good. So I want to just kind of be the balance here for that. I do agree with Ben where he said tempo and urgency, not enough. And calling that game, the tempo was the same, too much. It's got to change. I think there were moments in transition where you had Minnesota United committed higher up the field that at some point you got to add to your game a real threat in transition, and it just can't be Aliu, and maybe that's why the Dynamo are going after Lawrence Anali, another winger type. But will he be on the field at the same time? I don't know. That's for the brain trust and the collaborators. But you got to get more in transition. 1, from an excitement factor, and 2, from the standpoint of, you got to punish teams if they come forward or if they're captively forward on a corner and you got a chance to break out. So what if you lose the ball taking 2 people on? I think that was really missing in that game. I think Ben drilled down on it for sure. Okay, so we'll do more Dynamo and talk about them heading into the next game. A couple of things here. Mauricio Pochettino has been linked to the U.S. now. Steve Cherundolo of LAFC has been linked to the U.S. 713-780-3776. Give us your thoughts on the U.S. men's national team coaching position, what type of coach you want to see get the job. You've heard my take on it. I want a big personality. Now, Pochettino's also been linked to England, right, which makes a lot of sense with his time at Spurs. Graham Potter has been linked to the England job, which Gareth Southgate has now vacated. Southgate has been proposed by all of us in speculation out here in speculation land. So there you go. Now, as far as Mexico's concerned, we heard Bosco Aguirre mentioned a lot. Guillermo, you got an update on that, right?
Yeah, so basically they gave Jaime, 2 options. They said either you step down, you continue the program, you become like a assistant coach and we bring in a bigger personality like Javier Aguirre, or we bring in a big personality to be your assistant coach. And he ended up rejecting both propositions, and then he just flat out quit the entire program, and now it's looking like Vasco Aguirre is going to be picking up the Mexico squad before the World Cup once again.
No kidding. So you think he's going to take the squad?
It hasn't been confirmed, but everything is aiming towards him to be the one.
But here's the thing. When you know you're already in the World Cup, you don't have to go through the qualification process. It's kind of like a champagne job, right? No question it's pressure with Mexico. No question in your own way relative to the context of the game and the national team right now in the U.S., it's pressure as well. But, you don't have the whole qualification thing. Both these coaches will probably retire when they're done, whoever they are that's hired. Okay. So, because I thought that was a bit up and down. I thought at one point there, Aguirre, that was more a rumor and that he wasn't going to take it. What has he said exactly? He said he will take it?
Like I said, nothing has been confirmed, but yeah, it's just looking like it.
All right. Keep that in mind. Nothing has been confirmed. So what I'm going to do is in the next segment, we got more to go in this one, but in the next segment, I'm going to pick apart the press conference and things that were said in the press conference. And then we got Tim's interview right after that. So we'll have a lot of Tim Howard, a lot of Tim Howard. Now, Lionel Messi has apparently got a ligament injury. You saw, how swollen his ankle was. 713-780-3776. Now, remember, Inter Miami's coming here the beginning of August for Leagues Cup to take on Tigres. So there's no telling if Messi, may be a long shot that he's even available. Yet, this may be all about Tigres in Houston. Incredible. Gignac coming in, Brunetta coming in, Quinones and Cordova, the two wingers that give them width and inverted play. The team has got an excellent back four. Reyes and Pizarro, the two center backs. You got Angulo and Aquino who get forward. And guess who's the coach of Tigres? Veljko Paunovic. By the way, Tigres may be the most supported team in Houston, Texas. I say that in that's not as a joke. I say that in reality, that both them and Rayados are hugely followed here, and people go back across the border to watch their games. To the phone lines we go, and I believe this, well, there's one good Victor in Houston I know. This may be him. Let's go to Victor right now. Victor, welcome to the show.
Me.
Is this Deportes Total?
Deportes Nation.
Deportes Nation. Jeez, they would have fired me on the spot, and Deportes Nation. So everybody knows Victor has covered the Dynamo for years and a lot of soccer down in Houston. And he's even doing, I think he did the XFL and other things. All right, so what's your take on Tim Howard? I see that's what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I was just calling in to give my 2 cents. Look, I try to be positive and optimistic about signings like this or moves like this. Obviously, we know the kind of player Tim was in his career, but we're talking about the Houston Dynamo and their and the Dash too, right? The footprint they have in the soccer community here. It's still years and years of looking to people outside of the city for answers, right? And how to grow the game and how to solve some of these problems of relevancy. And I see the same thing here now with Tim Howard. Again, we're going out of town, bringing in an investor that's probably not going to be here day to day. Again, has ties to the game, which automatically probably makes him more qualified than a lot of people there. But to be honest, what are his ties to Houston? And, again, I think that's kind of where they're missing the mark.
I think it's a fair point. I think you're aware, I did an interview with him. That question's asked. Like questions like how often are we going to see you in Houston? With all due respect, the fan base is looking for a real leader. That's more than just appearing at games and signing shirts. And yes, that's important. The presence of a personality and a great ex-player like Tim Howard. By the way, I always think of that Belgium game. He was unbelievable. But I've watched this guy grow up in Major League Soccer and then go on to this amazing career. But he's going to need a real fast track to understand about Houston as well as a market. Now, he has run Memphis, so he's got experience there. But, name, connection, Manchester United, Everton, wealth of knowledge and experience as a player, does that translate to Houston? And I think that's maybe the question you're asking, Victor. And I think that's a really fair question. So a lot of those questions he'll answer in the interview. It was a great interview by Tim. I was very gracious to him, but also asked real questions. What else you want to add to it?
No, just I feel like he's going against the current a little bit. He's got to be something special for him to be the one guy to change everything.
Yeah.
Turn things around here as far as, again, being a bit more local, having more local voices in there. I tell you this, maybe because a lot of people don't know, I'm born and bred in Houston, and I see this team and talking about they represent Houston, and I don't see them shining the light on Houstonians. And I don't even see them, look, Tim Howard's great, but he's not going to be on the field. I don't see them shining the light on the players. Right? Where's again the focus here on some of these guys that score the goals? They're supposed to be playing the soccer representative of Houston. For all the, and listen, I got nothing against DJ Screw or none of the rap, but for talking hard and rap and that kind of attitude, they don't even show that on the field. So again, focus would be nice if it was on soccer, and that's I guess I'll just leave
Yeah,
it
I'm
at
not
that.
sure I'm into that as the marketing campaign primary. I don't think it's worked. I think it works for some. I don't agree with you that they haven't fought on the field. I think they have. I think they've flatlined a little bit here in July. Victor, thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. That's some good stuff there from Victor Ariza, Deportes Nation. I got it right that time. I do want to mention something, and Victor was a part of this, I think, Rock the Mic many, many years ago. So Samantha here at the station gave me information about Rock the Mic. This is a way to make your podcast grow or even start a podcast. You submit entry videos to rockthemic975@gmail.com. Videos have to be 3 to 5 minutes long. Talk about any sports take you want. Submit the videos by August 2nd. And then, so there you go. So if you want an opportunity to grow a podcast, Rock the Mic. And go to rockthemic975@gmail.com. All right. And I do know producer Guillermo's going to be in on this. We'll take a break here. Quick reminder, Hugh O'Connor's Pub out on I-10 in the Marquee Entertainment Center. Get out there. That's the best for soccer watching. And then also get over to DanishInspirations.com, the best in modern contemporary furniture. DanishInspirations.com. Okay, we come back, and I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of the Tim Howard press conference next.
You're listening to Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5.
And on ESPN 92.5.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
Guillermo, could you bring me a pillow and a blanket, please? This is making me very...
It's supposed to be chill, Glenn.
Yeah, this is not chill. We're an hour of hard hit. It's like Ozzy Osbourne when they put Bubbles on the stage. I'm the king of darkness. Okay, no, it's good. I usually like your more upbeat ones, but this is nice if I wanted to chill, but I don't.
Noted.
All right, no, it's all fun. We're just having fun with it. Guillermo's come up with some great lines. That leads me right. I mean, some great break music, which leads me into Cactus. By the way. Cactus, power on. Get over to Cactus Music. Power up AC/DC. Cactus is back in action. Tremendous vinyl. Also was down at the 24th anniversary of the Continental Club, and our great friend from Sigs Lagoon. Down there, all the people that were a big, big, big part of the Continental Club over 24 years were there. Tomas, who owns Sigs Lagoon, was singing with his band. He was awesome. So that was good stuff. Okay, real quick here. You know, the other thing about Tim Howard before we get into the interview is certainly he can help competitively with player signings and stuff. So that's another thing to think about. All right, let's go to the phone lines, though. A gentleman that was at the press conference. I watched it. I was not there. Here is Juan. Juan, what do you have to say about the press conference?
Hello, Glenn. I hope you're doing well right now.
Thank you.
I just thought that Tim Howard signing for us, I mean, as a minority investor or partner, was a home run. Not only for what he can bring to the players, to the front office, like you said, but also just for the World Cup push in 2026. I can imagine that he'll be a voice for people that want to see Houston shine in the World Cup, because it's a melting pot of a lot of different cultures. And during the press conference, his demeanor, he sounded excited to be part of this group. He said he was friends with Ted Siegel. And you could tell that those two have a really special bond. And I really, really hope that over the next coming years, he shows up to some games in Houston, also away from Houston, and he reps the brand. And then when 2026 comes around, he'll be a major, major part of what the club is trying to build, trying to get a mix of these cultures together to go to the stadium.
I think these are all really good points, but they're not guaranteed. Everything we heard in the press conference, we've heard before. And I'm with you. Love Tim's enthusiasm. Love what he represents, what he represented for the national team. I'm not so worried about the World Cup. I'm more worried about the Dynamo turning the corner and the Dynamo Stadium being filled and the Dynamo being more relevant. I
do think those things go hand in hand.
Yeah, no. Go ahead. You go, Juan. I want you to have a shot here.
I think those things go hand in hand, honestly, the World Cup and Houston Dynamo's popularity. I feel like if he...
Well, wait a second. Let me stop
if
you
he-
right there. Has all the international content gone hand in hand and done anything to build the Dynamo base? No. So, look,
Yeah, you're right.
it is a World Cup. But listen, I'm all for this. I'm excited about it. We need a face. How much Tim is going to be here, that's what I'll ask him in the next interview. How he can do this from afar, I'm going to ask him. But we all know it's getting out into the community, mano a mano, that's going to turn this thing around. It's not going to be one personality. He's going to need help. He's going to need guidance about Houston. This is a footballing town. He recognizes that. He recognizes the opportunity. He used the word supercharge it. There's a lot of good things going on. But, you just can't say, it's not our job to say that it's okay, it's all done and dusted, it's going to work. No, it's the job of the media. Are you in the media, Juan?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so what's your outlet? Give it a prop.
Foxtrot TV.
Soccer Shot TV?
Yeah, Foxtrot TV.
Okay, good. And I'm glad you're covering the game. But it's also our responsibility not to just jump in on the love train, OJ's style, but to also ask the real relevant questions. Like when somebody says, well, we're going to turn this around. Well, how are we going to do that? So for me, it's a little different because I've been around it a long time. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I mean, who's not going to be excited with our other minority owners? I don't even know if De La Hoya still owns a piece of the team and James Harden. But, we were fed, James is going to. Now, Tim is a soccer man. He's got incredible history, so I have to think Tim is going to bring it. But how much can he actually do and how much will he do? That's the big question. The man is a busy man. He admits it in my interview. So I don't think he's going to be at Bear Creek Park every other day shaking hands.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid point. And honestly, I'm with you on it really depends on what he does from now on. I mean, honestly, for me, it was a positive first impression.
100%. I'm not denying that, but I'm done with first impressions. I knew Tim Howard would be a great impression. Tim Howard's an incredibly intelligent guy. He's personable. He's got a piece of the action with the Houston Dynamo. The valuation of the club will continue to go up with the World Cup. If it's a $700 million valuation, and let's say Tim bought 1%, he put $7 million in. If he put in 0.25%, take a quarter of $7 million. Okay. What I like is that he's here. Will he challenge a front office? Will he challenge people's ideas? Could he change a marketing scheme? Can he help make this team more relevant, even though he's not going to be here a lot? He was a part of building a club in Memphis from the ground up. How do we get into these communities and groups that don't want to come to Dynamo games? I 100% think that he's going to be able to 100% use his contacts and maybe help secure players, although I think most of the Dynamo fans, are pretty happy with what Pat Onstad, Asher Mendelson, and Ben are doing, especially if this striker hits when he comes. So, listen, I'm really glad you called in. Relationship building, I heard, connectivity. Let's get up to speed with everyone in the club. Then I heard, our ideas are similar. Yeah, but we need new ideas because the ideas now from building this into a bigger club, regardless of where the product is, it needs some freshness, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I can't wait to hear your interview. I'm pretty excited for it. And, I still have my questions as to the direction the club takes. Now, obviously, Tim Howard is great, but we still really haven't seen him do anything. He said it himself. He's only been here for 12 hours or something. So, again, I'm excited, but I'm also cautiously optimistic because sometimes we do know what happens with these clubs. A lot of promises and a whole lot of action. So.
I like that one. And you know what? I like a young guy like you because I can tell you're young, covering the game. Keep it up. Keep it up. And I appreciate you calling in tonight. Very good insight, and thanks for making the effort to call into the show. Excellent stuff.
Thank you.
All right, so that's one. I wish I remembered what was the name of his outlet, Guillermo? I wanted to promote it.
Like Soccer Shot.
Yeah, good. I like that. Great stuff from Juan to call in. But, you know, I think a lot is to be seen, right? And I think once you hear the interview coming up, it'll give you a little bit more of a flavor of kind of where I was going. I am not negative on this at all. I'm positive on this. We need the face, but if a face isn't here, it's not easy, right? If Tim Howard said, I'm moving to Houston, I got an office, and I'm going to be there every day, now that would have gotten me excited, okay? That would have got me more excited because you've heard how long I've been preaching that we need a football face in this club. And it can't be the coach generally. It can't be the GM. They got too much responsibility. It needs to be somebody else, and it has to be somebody that's respected by a very hard-to-earn respect soccer community, a person that can talk it. And to Victor's point, the missing element still. Now, remember, Tim's putting money into the club, but the missing element is still the high-powered Houston soccer connections. That's something that we don't have. And if we leave the devices to people that aren't from Houston, I mean, to be fair to them, it's not easy for them. By the way, Eric Quill, New Mexico United, got to the, what did they get to? The quarters. Lost to LAFC, 3-1 out there. But Eric Quill's another local from our community, doing great stuff. Didn't get to play the Jesse Marsh bite on working with the Canadian Federation. Boy, he let U.S. Soccer have it, man. I mean, that was a volley of two quick jabs and a left hook. He's like, I don't care. I don't ever have to coach this team unless it changes, the U.S. Soccer. And he was very hard on CONMEBOL as well. Okay, this is a band called Red Rider. It's a pretty cool song. All right, coming up next, legendary U.S. goalkeeper Tim Howard. He's now an investor owner of the Houston Dynamo.